Alright, what's going on, guys? Sean Don coming back with a technical analysis. Here we have Tim Hayes, or as I read it phonetically in my brain, Tim Hayes. Hayes makes much more sense, in my opinion. So, yeah, let's take a look. Let's get into it. He's Australian, I believe. I hope I'm right there. Brain's a little rusty this morning. I'm cutting back on caffeine, but it's time to turn it on and dissect this throw. So, yeah, he's starting pretty dramatically off to the left of the circle, or right of the circle from the camera view. But I kind of like the flow of the whole thing. Yeah, sure, the orbit shifts a little bit, but I think it's relatively natural. I don't think you're doing anything crazy. You're really forcing it. You're just kind of letting the ball run and going with it. So, I don't know. Yeah. Let's take a closer look. So, like I said, from what it looks like, right here, approximately a 0, throwing like 180 that way. So, like I said, you're starting at like about what looks like 25, 30 degrees, 45 degrees-ish almost, off to the left of the circle, from your point of view, from the thrower's point of view. Facing the left, pretty solid. Winds are nice and natural. Nothing too forced. Arms are pretty relaxed. Tall posture. Like I said, just kind of flowing with it. As you're coming through here on entry, you see the low point. It's just an interesting thing to see somebody that starts so far off to the left. Like, I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think it's a good thing. It just is what it is, you know. He kind of looks like he found his throw. Like I said, it looks pretty natural. Things flow pretty well. There's nothing really too herky-jerky or anything too disturbing to the throw itself. Like, no crazy accentuated movements. I just find it interesting because, like, yeah, like your low point is right about there-ish, I would say, somewhere through here, which would be, and then we can flip this and say this is 270 and that's 90. This is like just before, so low point just before 270. You come through on entry, you know, ball's shoulder height as you're coming through 0. But of course, that's a different sort of 0. That's a 0 that's relative to you as opposed to relative to the circle. Though I guess it's close. Like I said, you're just kind of very offset in the circle. As you're coming through, level shoulders, move with the ball well. You can see that left foot moving, left hip moving with the ball pretty good. And you can see, like I said, your high point is just probably about there-ish. So somewhere, it's hard to tell with this exact camera angle, but somewhere between 0 and 45, 70-ish. But this left leg's turning really well. You can see both sides of the body turning with the ball really well. Right leg, left leg, both turning together, knees together, right or left foot turning. Like I said, it's just kind of like your orbit that's a little funky. But then you drop down into, like, so you rise up just a little bit through here, not a big deal, because then you drop down, catch just at 180. Shoulders pretty much level, a little dip in that right shoulder. Hips sort of underneath you. But then you're going to settle back into this right side, pretty well. Settle back. As ball comes through 0, that right side is almost lined up. Slight tilt, but I think that's a byproduct of how different the orbit is. And once again, I say different, not in a good or bad way, just in a different way. You know, instead of low point being at 0, high point being at 180, or, you know, roundabouts those 2 points. It's just different, because now here you are, low point at about 270-ish. You work back against the ball well in double support. As you can see, like I said, that left foot's turning, that right foot's turning. It's just a little funky. But that being said, like I said, you're turning with the ball very well. You have good patience. One thing that this kind of offset orbit creates is you can see there's a lot of leaning to this left side, which isn't a bad thing. Clockwise sort of lean, if you think about, 12, 6, if this were a clock, literally like 2D plane clock, even as the ball goes through 0 or goes past you as a thrower, there's already a little bit of clockwise lean, a little bit, and then as it goes, the ball goes to the right, that gets more and more dramatic, and this clockwise lean gets more and more, which is essentially you creating a torque on the ball by falling into the next turn, which helps the ball accelerate in single support. So that's a good thing, and then it looks like you have very good connection, you're very relaxed through that single support. The ball is pulling on you, you're pulling on the ball, and it's like a nice balanced tug of war, and that's why you're able to pull off this more dramatic orbit. And you can see high point gets to like just after 90-ish, and same thing, you're keeping good connection with the ball, you catch, shoulders kind of level, hips, once again it's relative to, I guess, the orbit. They don't look like they're under you from this position, but you get them back under you when it matters, which is in double support. Get your hips underneath you, you're working back. And then as you catch here, you come through, low point, just after 90, or sorry, 270-ish. And then you come through. The heel ground's nice and early. That right side's lined up. Stays pretty lined up. Like I said, you get a little of that tilt towards the end of double support. That left hip's working out very nicely. You can see how tight your knees are. That's great. And then you say, like I said before, you get that clockwise tilt as the ball goes to the right. Nice relaxed shoulders, arms, all that stuff. Super good connection. You catch kind of more normal just after 180-ish. And then so kind of this is your most normal double support phase in terms of like what a normal throw would look like relative to the majority of people. But then yeah, I think the big thing is that you're, like I said, you might be a little bit like off balance here. What might look like off balance, your hips aren't exactly underneath you, but you do a really good job of settling over to this right side and getting that left hip up into the ball. And this is a perfect example of that. That left femur is right with the hammer wire, shoulders level, right side pretty much lined up, whole body kind of working together. That left hip is really doing a great job. And you get that left hip up into the throw, tight single support movement. Like I said, good balance. Now you can see a little bit like high point literally just comes around and hits just about before 180, right through here. You catch, like I said, you're really settled back over this right side. So this is, I think, my favorite catch. You can see how much you have over that right foot, that right side. Then from there, it stays there. You go boom, 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 boom. And then just as you go about to release, you can see how sturdy this left leg is too, or both your legs, honestly. Pretty sturdy. Left hip, both hips working up into the throw like a cleaner snatch triple extension. Hips up into the throw, and then you release. So, yeah, I mean, I don't really have much to critique in terms of like what I would say you're doing wrong. You kind of hit the big, broad strokes, which is patience and connection, and your posture is good, your hips are good. It's just, it's a different looking throw. That's all it is, because your orbit is so different. Your low point isn't at 0 or near 0, and your high point isn't at 180 or near 180 until like the last turn. That being said, though, you have very good flow. I would be interested to see what your consistency is like, if you have the sort of athletic ability or coordination or timing, rhythm, patience, whatever you want to call it, to throw like this, pretty consistently and repetitively. Because I, for one, I think I'm somebody who has a little bit more of a drastic low point in entry, being closer to 90. 270. I'm still thinking in terms of left-handed sector. But yeah, so my low point's closer to 270, and I find that like when I do line it up, it works really well, but I have trouble with consistency, if I'm being frank. So I'm wondering if that might affect you the same way. Yeah. But like I said, you're doing all the big things good. I wouldn't make any major changes unless you need to make major changes. Like let's say if you have problems with consistency in competition or something like that, then maybe try having a little bit more of a relatively normal, and I use that with like air quotes, orbit. Like I said, closer to 0 and 180 for the low points and high points respectively. But like I said, like basis of this whole thing is that you do the big broad strokes well. Like I said, your upper body and shoulders are relaxed pretty well. Your lower body is working with the hammer very well and working together very well. You're getting your left hip up into the throw very good. You have good balance in terms of connection and single support. You're not pulling too hard on the ball. Looks like it's like a lower body driven throw for the most part. So let's take one more look at it. Yeah, I like that throw. It's a decent looking throw. Good looking throw. Looks relatively easy. And you said it was like a 95% throw. So the fact that it still looks easy and kind of relaxed and effortless is cool. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions, Tim. If you have anything specifically that you're working on that you want to ask me about, or like anything specifically that you are interested in learning about, let me know and we can talk about it, because obviously, like I said, there's not much for me to critique in this video. Take that for what it is. I don't know. So yeah, anybody else out there, if you'd like a technical analysis, DM me on Instagram at SDThrows, and we'll get to work. So, Sean Don, peace and out. Goodbye.